Hey Gators and sports fans, get all your Gator talk, news, analysis, and opinions on the Pod Up with Matthews in the Morning podcast. Find us on your favorite podcast platform or watch us on Facebook Live between 8 a.m. and 9 a.m. every weekday. Pod Up, because we are Gator fans. So say it's great to be a Florida Gator.
Good morning and welcome to a Thursday edition of Pod Up with Matthews in the Morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Got a really good show lined up for you today. Yes, we're on the road once again. We're going to start it off here in just a minute with our college football analyst, Brent Beaird. You can follow him on Twitter at Brent Beaird. In the second portion of the show, really cool a show that we tape with Johnny and Tommy Townsend, the brothers, great punters here at the University of Florida, now playing for the Ravens and the Kansas City Chiefs. So make sure you tune in for that as well. But first, let's go to our Titan MR hotline, and we're joined by our good friend Brent Beaird. Good morning, Brent. How are you?
Shane, I'm doing well, enjoying this cool weather this morning. There's still plenty of off-season talk that's going on during this time of year, but always good to be with you.
Yeah, it's extremely cold where I am, Brent. It's about 40 outside right now, so hopefully it warms up a little bit. Got a lot of golf to play this weekend. Real quick, Brent, let's start with the NCAA. They're trying to change. It looks like they're going to a format that the NFL has started, with not a whole lot of hitting going on at practice.
Well, this is so new that we really haven't had a chance to almost digest it yet. I give credit to where it's due. Ross Dellinger, Sports Illustrated, came out with a story late last night about the NCAA Football Oversight Committee trying to make fall camp safer. Now, this is a 5-year concussion study that was released, and what the committee is looking at doing, now this is not in stone yet, a reduction of full padded practices during the camp from 21 to 8, complete abolishment of drills like the Oklahoma drill, and limiting a team to 2 scrimmages per camp. Now, frankly, I think that's about all they do now anyway. They may have some kind of a light scrimmage with this point. So now, I won't go into all the details of the study, but they released a study in February, and they tracked 6 Division I college football teams from 2015 to 2019. What they found was that if you had concussions, 72% of them occurred during practice and half of them in preseason practice. So now again, as he mentions later on in the article, now this may be too quick to do anything about it in August for this year's camp, but it may be in 2022. So, look, Shane, I want to see it obviously safer too, but the thing we also know is football is a physical game, and at some point you've got to be able to do some hitting and get used to that. Some guys are going to be arguing, are we eventually going to flag football? So hopefully we can kind of compromise with this somewhere, but not saying it's going to happen right now, but this is something to keep your eye on.
Yeah, even, if they pass this rule or what have you, I mean, teams nowadays hardly hit at all. I think,
you're right.
Coaches are so concerned about guys getting hurt in practice. And I'm trying to remember the last time I saw an Oklahoma drill. It may have been, 15 years ago when I was helping coach high school football, but I was cringing every time, the coach blew the whistle for the Oklahoma drill. I'm like, there ain't no reason to do this, But, it does teach you how to tackle. They got all these, Buddy Tevens, who was a Florida assistant for a long time, who's the head coach at Dartmouth, he invented that big dummy it's like a remote control, and that's all Dartmouth does. They don't hit each other at all. They work on the tackling dummies that are remote control. So, and I know they got these big circular deals that coaches roll and you go and tackle it and roll and things of that nature. But it is interesting, because in the NFL there is hardly any hitting except on Sunday.
Right.
So
that's and Shane, I think another thing with this is what people brought up is this another aspect of the game that favors the offense over the defense? And the point that you brought up is, and I think hopefully we're going to see more of this, is if players would use the correct form and tackling and bringing someone down, meaning they would keep their head up instead of leading with their head. In other words, if they had the correct form, wouldn't we see less of these concussions too?
Yeah, that's possible. Sometimes concussions are going to happen regardless how much you try to be safe or whatever. Brent, the NCAA, are they still talking about trying to expand this playoff?
Yeah. Oh yeah. The college football committee. Now, listen, there's been almost nothing said about this week, which makes me almost wonder if some of these reports were wrong in their meeting next week. But in April, the college football committee meets. That they have a certain amount of yearly work that they do. They replace certain guys or ladies on the committee, and they also have a certain amount of housekeeping, I'm sure that they do. Now, again, to make this short, the TV contracts come up in 2025. So we will certainly have something done before then. So what Dennis Dodd has said about this is that they were meeting this week from Tuesday, maybe through Thursday. Didn't expect a lot of major issues into dealing with expansion, but I think people know the playoffs have got to be expanded, and it really needs to be sooner than later. So right now, unless the committee comes out today, and these meetings were going to be virtual anyway, and make some kind of a statement, it's probably going to be business as usual. But if all these contracts come open in 2025, Shane, you're going to have something done. 2 or 3 years in advance. So we've got to see something, I think, along this line, certainly starting next year.
Yep. Refresh your vehicle and your brand with a vehicle wrap from WrapSpot. April's your lucky month at WrapSpot. Mention promo code Shane, receive 13% off your vehicle wrap. We're speaking with our good friend Brent Beaird, our college football analyst here on the Titan Tomorrow Hotline. Second half of the show, we got the Townsend Boys. Johnny and Tommy will be joining us on the Titan Tomorrow Hotline. Brent, if you were Brad Stevens, we're going to talk college basketball for just a second. If you were Brad Stevens, would you still be coaching the Celtics?
What an offer.
Wow.
Now, Indiana was looking for a coach, and they've got one now, and it's not Brad Stevens from the Celtics, but several sources, including Gene Wojciechowski from ESPN, said that he was offered a 7-year, $70 million contract to become the next coach at Indiana. Now, there was a lot of rumors about, will Indiana talk to him? Well, obviously they did. And Shane, that's a heck of a lot of change to turn down, is it not? And to stay with the Celtics. But look, I give Indiana some credit. They swung and they missed, but at least they swung at it and gave it an effort.
Yeah, no doubt. There is another spring league out there, Brent. I actually have a couple of buddies of mine, former NFL guys, that are some assistant coaches. Tell us a little bit about this league and how Mummy's back in the game.
How Mummy is, and the promos about this have the ever-present towel wrapped around his shoulder. Shane, you remember that?
Oh yeah, yeah.
So this is it's called the Spring League's lineman team, is a team that he will be coaching. Now, again, Mummy obviously was quite famous for what he did at Kentucky from 97 to 2000. His mentor was Mike Leach. They worked together a good bit. Now, this league is set to serve as a developmental league, helping players one day reach the NFL. They've got a deal with FS1 and Fox, 24 games over 6 weeks. the new league with 8 teams playing out of Houston and Indianapolis. So it's kind of limited. I think the TV deal is fairly significant to have that going on. So, I mean, Shane, there's been very little said about this, frankly, but it's coming around, and Mummy is a part of it. Hal has done a lot of different things in his life. So, and to his credit, he's still coaching.
Yeah, I'm not sure who all the head coaches are. I do know my buddies that are coaching out in the Texas area. Their head coach is Larry Kirksey, former Gator running back coach back under Galen Hall. Okay, Brent, so let's talk. Pretty much everybody's wrapped up spring football in the SEC, but a few teams still have their spring game this week.
Right.
You were in Tuscaloosa for Alabama's spring game. Pretty good crowd. How'd you think it went?
Well, and by the way, the ratings for that game were incredible. It was the most viewed spring scrimmage since 2016, and the third highest since 2010. They've got an incredible amount of talent again, and they've got it particularly at the. And we would not have said this 10 years ago with Nick Saban, but this is how things have changed and how he has changed. Their skill position players are now as good as anybody in the nation. Agiye Hall, number 17, he's a freshman, midterm enrollee, had a really good game. They also have got a guy named JaQuincy McKinstry. His nickname is Kool-Aid, and he's number 1. Had a great high school career. It was basically the Alabama High School Player of the Year, and he showed it. I mean, he had an interception, fumble recovery, batted a ball down. He just is a incredibly talented guy. Jalen Moody also stood out at linebacker. I think what everybody wants to know is how did Bryce Young do, the sophomore quarterback? He was 25 of 44 for 333. Paul Tyson, who is Bear Bryant's relative, was 18 to 34. I know you remember Jay Barker. His son Braxton was 4 of 8 for 74 and had some pretty good throws himself. And they had a lot of guys out for various reasons. But here's the thing with Young, and you can help us with this. Bryce Young is not much taller than Nick Saban, and Nick Saban is 5'7". So Bryce Young is probably 5'9", 5'10". Now, he's mobile. He's also accurate. And the concern from the Alabama media was with these SEC linemen who are 6'7", and when their hands are up in the air, they're over 7 feet, how that's going to affect him. But as you know, Shane, there have been a lot of quarterbacks who have been below 6 feet tall who've had really good careers. So at this point, I think they're optimistic, and they're optimistic that this team could be very good again.
Yeah, it's interesting. You bring up his height. I think he's right around 5'10", possibly. But, Kyler Murray, that was a knock on him. And I remember when he was coming out of Oklahoma, there was a stat. They keep stats of everything. Out of all the quarterbacks that were supposed to be in that draft the year he came out, he had the least amount of batted balls than anybody. So, it's not that you find throwing lanes, because anybody that sits here and tells you that a quarterback has to find a throwing lane is a moron, because you can't worry about if a guy's going to stick his arm up as you're dropping back. It just happens. He just has a knack for completing balls. Kyler Murray, I'm talking about. Now, Bryce Young, we'll see. But, yeah, he'll get some balls batted down. But, like I told you, Kyler Murray had the fewest batted balls of any quarterback the year he came out. You brought up Kool-Aid. You were at the game, Brent. I was flipping through the channels, and all of a sudden I hear, Nick Saban's mic'd up. And I don't know if you heard it, but he's like, Kool-Aid, we do not walk on the GD football field. He's just dogging him.
Yes.
It was pretty fun. I mean,
well, it was, and I did hear that. And look, Kool-Aid in his mind right now has been treated as all high school seniors who are the players of the year in their state. So he is. I think this is probably the de-recruiting process. It's not the recruiting process. It's the de-recruiting process. So, it's one of those things to where Saban basically all treats them just alike. So, but look, there are certain kids that you cannot keep off the field, and I think Kool-Aid's going to be one of them.
Yeah, that's a great nickname, Kool-Aid.
It is.
Brent, what Auburn? How'd their spring game go?
I thought it went fine. Now they've still got a lot of things that they've got to be able to do. Tank Bigsby obviously was the best player, 64 yards. Trey Elston had 6 tackles. He did well on defense. Also, a lot made about Bo Nix. And look, I know it was a spring game, but he was 12 of 20 for 112 yards and a touchdown, ran for a little bit of yardage too. They've got him behind center, and they talked a whole lot about him, about his footwork being better. I think people who watched the game are not quite sure about that. So this is still, frankly, for them, a work in progress. I mean, look, if Mike Bobo can get Nix to playing better, as you and I have talked about a lot, that's going to be huge for them. They've also got a freshman quarterback, Demetra Davis, that at some point, that if Bo doesn't get it, it makes you wonder if they may make a change. But some of the beat writers I talked to at the Alabama game, obviously they cover Auburn too, made an interesting point that maybe the most important position group for Auburn is the offensive line, that if they can protect Bo and more than anything else, maybe make some holes for Tank Bigsby, that may be even more important than what Bo's going to do this year.
Yeah. Has A&M had their spring game yet?
They've got it Saturday.
This Saturday. Okay.
Coming up.
Okay, because a lot of people think they have the best backfield in all of college football. So we'll talk more about them next week. Let's talk about Georgia. I believe they had their spring game this past weekend.
They did, and they had mostly good that came out of that. All in all, obviously J.T. Daniels is their quarterback. He threw for over 300 yards. Carson Beck may end up being their number 2 guy. Beck being obviously from Jacksonville, 22 of 31 for 236. And Shane, as you know, a lot of this, these are great numbers, but I don't know how much you're throwing against the ones. You may be throwing against the 2s and the 3s. Frankly, Stetson Bennett was only 3 of 4, and I really wonder if he ends up in the transfer portal fairly soon. Kirby Smart was pretty transparent afterwards. He said the group that needs the most work is the offensive line, and they're shifting some guys around. It doesn't mean that they won't be good, because they will. Right now, he said they just need to make the biggest leap, and also the secondary. Now, this is shades of Kyle Pitts, but they've got a tight end named Darnell Washington who is 6'7", 280. And it's interesting, Shane, I know you've called attention to this, how these huge tight ends, Auburn has one in J.J. Begees, who's 300 pounds, are making a difference in catching the ball and rolling down the field. And that's what you're seeing with them at this point, too. So I think overall, offensive line needs some work. Secondary needs some work. They're very good now at quarterback. They feel good about that. Their running back room is fine. They've got some receivers like Adonai Mitchell who are stepping up to help them out. So a little bit of a mixed bag for Georgia, but I think they're pretty optimistic where they go. And again, we got to remember they open the season playing Clemson in Charlotte.
That's right. I forgot about that. That should be a good one. There's no question about that. Brent, let's go back to the West. LSU. Is there a quarterback battle, or is it going to be the Johnson kids' team? Has Miles got a chance?
Oh yeah, and that's a great question. I think it's a battle at this point. No winner, and Orgeron's smart enough to where he'll let it go on and see where it goes. Miles Brennan now is a fifth-year senior. Max Johnson, who we saw against Florida last year, is a sophomore. So, and even T.J. Finley has played in the league in a game. So I think they're pretty happy where that is. Where they're going to be really good is a line of scrimmage, particularly on the defensive line. And their defense under Durante Jones, their new coordinator, has probably made more improvement than anyone. Shane, you remember their defense last year? At times it was awful, wasn't it? So they've gotten some real improvement here. The defensive line is going to be, I think, very good. They've got a couple of sophomores. Jacqueline Roy is one of those that they really like. Neil Farrell, too. I won't go into all the names because of the time, but look, Bama's going to be your favorite in the West, and who's going to be number 2? And I think a lot of people thought it was going to be A&M. Shane, I'm not sure LSU's going to battle them to the end. Now, again, they've got so many problems off the field, as we talked about with this Title IX stuff, and still could affect Ed Orgeron's career. But on the field, as far as talent, LSU is good as anybody right now.
That's right. We got a Facebook Live here brought to you by Mellon Law, the only official law firm partner of the Florida Gators. Keith says, Shane, you need coffee. I don't need coffee. My allergies are so bad, Brent. Right now, I'm rubbing the heck out of my eyes. They're burning so bad.
Yes.
It's bad where I am. Okay, Brent. So let's Tennessee and Ole Miss both have their spring games this weekend. What's going on in Knoxville?
Well, Matt, in Knoxville, Shane, you can tell us about this as much as anybody. They have now got another quarterback transfer in Joe Milton from Michigan. Now, they've also got Brian Marr, who you and I saw in the Swamp 2 years ago. They've also got Harrison Bailey, who the fans thought were going to save the program. And they've also got Hendon Hooker. So, Shane, on that old adage, as you taught me before, if you've got like half a dozen quarterbacks, do you really have one? So they're trying to figure that out, and that's going to be very interesting to see how that goes in the spring game, because right now, pretty much, most of the eyes are on this quarterback situation in Knoxville.
Yep, no doubt. Lane Kiffin, I guess this will be his first spring. He never really had a spring game.
That's right.
You know, I know obviously Matt Corral's penciled in as a starter, but John Rice Plumlee he won't be there. He's playing baseball. The Ely kid, I think, is also playing baseball.
Right.
What do you know? What's going on up in Oxford?
Well, obviously Matt Corral is going to be really good. I don't think there's any doubt. They're losing Elijah Moore, who really was one of the better receivers and will be a high draft choice. Frankly, the Drummond kid and Braylon Sanders are back another year. Their offensive line is going to be better, and I think that could be very good there. Where they're going to be vastly improved is on defense. Defensive tackles, KD Hill is 320. Hal Northern is 305. And they've also got some experience at linebacker, Jack West Jones. So I think the bottom line here is we know what Lane's going to do offensively, but geez, Shane, if they have any kind of an SEC defense, how many problems could they have and give to other teams?
I'm really anxious to see, because they're going to be outstanding on offense, and if they can just get a little bit better on defense, who knows? Brent, you got any nuggets before we let you go?
Yeah, South Carolina has their spring game also, and they're trying to figure out what to do with this on Saturday. There's a front that's coming through on Saturday that's supposed to cause a lot of problems, and we're going to get some of that here. Also, it kind of covers the whole East. But anyway, I think it's been an interesting time for them. Also, and what I want to mention also about South Carolina, if people are wondering where Torian Gray went, he ended up at South Carolina. So he's one of the assistant coaches with them, and we'll get into more about that. What they're trying to do is get more receivers. They need some outside threats, don't they, Shane? That they've really struggled with that. Jalen Brooks is a guy that they like. Dak Joyner, I think, is another one that they also like too. So I think that's going to be important. Mississippi State also had their spring game. This is what you don't ever want to have happen. Jaden Walley, Walley, the wide receiver, is a freshman. One of their best playmakers had a foot or leg injury in that game, and really they've said very little about it. So we really don't know how bad he's hurt. Your quarterbacks are going to be Will Rogers, who played last year, or Southern Miss transfer Jack Abraham. I'm curious if you saw him at all when he was at Southern Miss. I think Mike Leach, though, feels much better about this team and the direction they're going.
Well, somehow they're ranked 8th in the country by some of these polls. I still can't figure that out.
Me neither.
Blows my mind. It's weird. We're sitting here talking all this spring football around the league and don't have really a whole much to talk about the Gators, Brent.
Yeah, well, when you have an early spring practice, things kind of get quiet for a while, and you end up with recruiting, I think, as much as anything else. Just one more note, Arkansas also had their red and white game, so they're trying to figure out who their quarterback's going to be. KJ Jefferson is one guy who may end up with a job. Malik Hornsby is also another, but I think they feel better about where they're going. And as you and I have talked, they had tremendous progress last year, even though they just won 3 games. They played much better under Sam Pittman. If they can get that much improvement in year 2, that would really help them. But again, they've got a really brutal schedule, so that says a lot about it. But again, we've still got games that we'll talk about next week: South Carolina, Tennessee, Texas A&M, and also Ole Miss, Shane, all with spring games on Saturday. A lot of them on SEC Network Plus, but people can see them if you've got a computer.
Yeah. Well, Brent, good stuff as always, my man. Be safe, and we'll talk to you next week.
Can't wait, bud. Take care.
Yep. At Comfort Temp, comfort is our business. Peace of mind is our promise. From now until May 31st, get our preventative maintenance plan for $169. Save almost 40% off the normal cost. Also, any maintenance scheduled between now and May 31st, you will be entered to win a Nest thermostat with installation. This day in sports, back in 1990, in the NFL draft, the first overall pick by the Indianapolis Colts was Jeff George, quarterback from Illinois. We're going to take our first time out of the program. We come back. It's going to be a cool show, folks. It's going to be Johnny and Tommy Townsend, the brothers that anchored down that punting job for the Gators for quite some time. They'll be joining us on the Titan MR hotline. You're watching and listening to Pot Up with Matthews in the Morning.
We want to take this moment to thank all our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills. Our gridiron sponsors are Crime Prevention Security Systems, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility. Meldon Law, where you matter most. Peachland Dental, Gator Nation's first choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte. Comfort Temp, comfort is our business, peace of mind is our promise. G-Tech Sport, keep your athletes in the game with G-Tech Sport. Celebration Point Town Center, Center State Bank, Chris Doring Mortgage. Some of our touchdown sponsors are Big Mills Cheesesteaks, MB Listing, Cornerstone Financial, McDonald's of Gainesville, My IT Masters, Gainesville Neon and Signs, 84 Lumber, Tropical Smoothie Cafe, Chick-fil-A on Archer Road, Avra and Smith, Dowling Signs, Chomp Harder Apparel, Ruse Ogra Agent, State Farm Insurance, Silver Cube Billiards and Sports Bar. If you are interested in promoting your business on the show, visit potupwithshane.com and click the Advertise button. Again, thank you to all the great businesses that support the show. If you like what we are doing here, make sure to follow us and support the businesses that support us.
For all type of restaurant people, managers, servers, bartenders, hosts, cooks, dishwashers, bussers. If you think you're good in the restaurant business, then give us a call.
Spurrier's Gridiron Grill job fair is open now through May 15th. All you have to do is go to spurriersdraft.com and fill out an application.
We're looking for the good team members, and we're looking for people with a wonderful attitude that can make Spurrier's Gridiron Grill the best we can possibly be. To apply, go to spurriersdraft.com.
Welcome back to Pot Up with Matthews in the Morning from the Crime Prevention Security Systems Studios. Large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Celebration Points, where the Gators go to celebrate with premium brands like Regal Cinemas, Dave & Buster's, Les Macarons, Sushi Hana, Bass Pro Shop, and coming June of 2021, the HBC's new restaurant, Spurrier's Gridiron Grill and Visors, Tailgate, and Rooftop Bar. We will see you at Celebration Point, where the Gators go to celebrate. We're now going to go to the Titan More Hotline, and we got two special guests, two of the best punters to ever come out of the University of Florida, brothers Johnny and Tommy Townsend. Good morning, guys. How are you?
Morning. We're doing good. You?
Can't complain. Hey, I appreciate y'all. Y'all are busy. I know you're extremely busy. First of all, let's go back to your younger days. I think both of y'all went to Boone High School in Orlando. Were y'all always just because y'all are, I don't know y'all very well, just watching y'all from afar. Y'all are not your normal punters. The reason I say that, because y'all are pretty athletic. Did y'all had to play other positions in high school, right?
Yeah, we did. So we were both always football, baseball guys, multiple positions on the field. Punting was kind of a thing that just kind of came to us. And, we didn't really think that was going to be our path until kind of going on later into our high school careers. We started really, getting some traction in the recruiting trail, and some colleges offered us, and went to college to punt.
Tommy, you what positions did you play? You played everything as well growing up?
Right. Yeah. I mean, starting like early in Pop Warner, I was a running back, and that's what I love to do. And then, later on, my last couple of years of Pop Warner, started playing a little bit of quarterback, and then started playing quarterback freshman year. But I got moved from that pretty quickly since I was super impatient. I'd drop back and I'd go to my first read, and if it wasn't there, I'd just run the ball. So I got moved from that pretty quickly and went on to play corner and safety my last 3 years at Boone. Yeah.
Nice. Okay, so y'all's recruiting process. Johnny, I know initially I think Ohio State was looking at you. You decided to be a Gator. Tommy, you went to the University of Tennessee initially and then transferred back to Florida.
Right.
Let's start with you first, Tommy. What did things just not go the way you thought they were going to go up in Knoxville, and you wanted to get back home and be a Gator?
Yeah, I mean, there were a lot of things that went into it, but at the end of the day, I thought Tennessee was going to be the right fit for me. I thought it was going to be, the right program with the right coaches and all that. And, a lot of the time in recruiting, I mean, it doesn't turn out that way. And so, I thought the best option for me was to leave and, go back home to Florida and sit behind Johnny for a couple of years and learn from him and go from there. And I mean, I can't really complain. It worked out pretty well. So, I can't really look back and say I wish I would have done things differently.
Well, I think the Gator Nation's glad you made that choice. Johnny, when you look, I told you before we got on the show, I thought during your career, you were probably the most valuable player on the Florida football team at that time because we had trouble making first downs. We played great defense, but we had no offense. You played for Coach Mack and Muschamp. Talk a little bit about your career, how important it was for you and your role, because I can't remember how many times you would pin an opposing offense down inside the 10-yard line. That's why I thought you were like the most valuable player during your career.
I appreciate that. Yeah, we sure punted a lot, that's for sure. But I mean, if you just look at the roster of the players that we had from the time I was there, from 2013 to 17, our defense, pretty much every guy that stepped on the field is in the NFL and is a starter in the NFL. I mean, our defense was unbelievable. So, a lot of the times, special teams had to step up and make big plays, win that battlefield position, and then let the defense take over and, win ball games. And that was just kind of, sometimes a theme of some of the games we played in. And, I was happy to be even recognized as a contributor to the success of the team.
Yep. We're speaking with Johnny and Tommy Townsend. Johnny's the punter for the Baltimore Ravens, Tommy for the Kansas City Chiefs. Okay, so I got to ask you this. I mean, you guys aren't too many years apart. Y'all are probably training with one another right now. Who has the better leg?
That always seems to be the question, doesn't it? I don't know. I mean, it's hard to say. I mean, I like to think that I have a little bit bigger leg. Johnny's always been a really good directional guy and kind of place the ball wherever he wants. But I like to think I can take the cake in the big leg competition.
Yeah. So when you talk quarterbacks, everybody talks about arm strength, and I'm a firm believer. The good Lord blesses you with a strong arm. You can maybe improve it a little bit here and there, but you either have a great arm or you don't. Is that kind of the same way? Can you strengthen your leg? If there's any young punters or kickers listening, is it squatting, whatever it is there anything that you can do to increase your leg strength?
Definitely. It's the nature of the position is very similar to golf. There's a lot of technical aspects that go into it. A lot of it just comes down to leg speed and contact. So if you can, really hone in on your drill work and the technical aspects of punting a football, that's the majority of the work is done right there. But, any young guy that as they get older and continue to progress with the sport, you do see a lot of development that happens there just from a physical standpoint. And getting in the weight room definitely helps.
Let me ask y'all this, because it just seems like in the last 5 to 6 years, maybe 10 years of football at every level. Back when I was growing up and playing, it was the old coffin corner kick. We're going to try to pin the guy, kick the ball, punt it inside the 5-yard line. It doesn't seem like teams do that anymore. What's the reason behind that?
With you said the coffin corner kicks?
Yes. It just doesn't seem like they do those anymore.
Yeah, I think it really depends on the team and the coach. You'll have some coaches that are still really kind of wrapped around the directional punting strategy. You'll see a lot of teams that like to place the ball on the sideline, like to hit those coffin corner balls. Where I'm at in Baltimore right now, the coaches really do like that aspect of the game. And, I think when you get in that red zone, having the ability to drop the ball in there is, critical. And we talk about the battle of field position all the time, and that's one of the key elements.
All right, both of you guys have to hold, I believe, which to me seems like a terrible job because, anytime a kicker misses a field goal, the first person he looks at is the holder. Did you get the laces out? How hard of a job? Is that more difficult for you guys than actually doing your job as the punter?
Not so much. I don't think so for me. I guess for both me and Johnny, we've been holding since high school, and we've almost been holding longer than we've been punting. So, it's kind of like second nature to us. And, I guess I can't really speak for Johnny, but for me, it just kind of, it seems like very natural. And I don't feel like the pressure's too much on me. I'm just trying to do my job, catch it, put it down in the right position for the kicker to make kicks. And that's that.
We got a text here on the Titan MR text line for you guys. It comes from Philip. Philip wants to know, he heard that y'all's cousin just got a scholarship to be a long snapper for the Gators. Is that true?
Right. It is. Yeah. That's our younger cousin, our mom's sister. Yeah. Rocco Underwood. He's a tall kid. He's 6'3", 6'4", 215, as a high school senior, and he's super athletic. And, he actually finished second team all state as a tight end. He's a real athletic kid, and he can snap the heck out of the ball. We're both really excited to see him go out and see what he can do at Florida and hopefully turn it into an NFL career.
Okay. So Johnny, I'm trying to think back to your Gator days, and I don't think they called any fake punts for you. But I know they called some for Tommy, or either Tommy just took off running for the hell of it. Were those called fake punts, or did you just take off running?
They were. Luckily, yeah. I didn't go rogue on any of them. Luckily, but yeah, no, they were called, and that was something that was really cool. Is to have like some head coaches that really trusted you to go out and run some fake punts, and especially running the ball. I like to think that me and Johnny are just a little bit athletic, so it's nice to be able to know that the coach has some confidence in you to run the ball.
Yeah, in all my years of playing, you two guys, like I said, y'all aren't my teammates or anything, but just watching from afar, y'all are two of the most athletic punters I've ever seen. Johnny, let's start with you here. What would you say is the one game that stands out in your mind the most during your Gator days?
Oh man, there's a handful of them actually, but one of them that takes the cake is 2015 in the swamp against Ole Miss. They came down to play us. Will Greer was the quarterback, and we just whooped up on them. It was really kind of a statement game for us, and the swamp was electric. And, afterwards we just, celebrated like rock stars. We had such a good time on that game. And that's one I'll never forget.
Yeah. What about you, Tommy? What's the one game that stands out in your mind?
Shoot. There's a couple of them, but I keep going back to one play in particular. And it was my senior season. We were at LSU, and this was the first time I've really felt and heard a crowd behind me. We were backed up, ball was on the 2 or 3 yard line, heels in the back of the end zone. And yeah, the crowd was just going insane. They were screaming, they were loud. It seemed like it was a 3rd down and they were trying to get a stop, you know? So that was a really cool environment. And that was the first time I've ever really heard the crowd, but, I ended up getting a really good punt off and yeah, hopefully, luckily it was a good kick, but it was a really cool environment. And I mean, that was the first time I'd played in Death Valley, and that's definitely a top atmosphere in college football.
At Chris Doring Mortgage, they do mortgage lending right, helping home buyers throughout Gainesville and North Central Florida. Call Chris Doring Mortgage today, 352-244-0840. A few more minutes here on the Titan More Hotline with Johnny and Tommy Townsend. Okay, you guys superstitious at all? Every punter and kicker I played with in my 14 years in the NFL were so damn superstitious. Y'all have to be, right?
We'd be lying if we said we weren't.
Yeah, I feel like everyone has.
What's your routine? Is it the way you get dressed? You wear the same pair of socks, same shoes? What is it?
For me, it's I'd probably say like the 2 things that don't really change is the way I get dressed and in my warm up. That's about exactly the same every single time. But one thing I have to do is I have to put my left sock on first, then the right, and then my left cleat, and then the right. So those are kind of like 2 things that I always make sure I do.
What about you, Johnny?
You know, the nature of our position is so repetitive that, you know, you really know if something's off. And I think like Tommy just said, I mean, just the nature of my warm-up routine and my pregame routine in itself it's so scripted. And I make sure that I kind of hit every point of my warm-up when I go through it. And that's kind of one of my deepest rooted, superstitions is making sure that I'm doing everything the same every time. In college, I used to have a superstitious diet. I'd always eat spaghetti with 4 meatballs every night before the game. And then we top it off with some soup and grilled cheese. But I always made sure I ate the same thing every night before a game. But I don't really have too many superstitions now in the NFL. It's just I just got to make sure I prepare the same way every time. So my superstitions have just kind of become more a routine.
So you 2 guys both play in cold weather cities pretty much. You being Florida boys, how hard was it in your rookie years when you came out of that damn tunnel and, it's 10 degrees, the wind is howling? How hard was it to adjust? And you got the heaters on the sideline. I've told people I never understood why anybody goes to a football game when it's like 20 degrees outside, because as a player, you can get your body going, but you also have the heaters on the sideline. But the people sitting in the stands for 3 hours have no heaters. Was that a huge adjustment for y'all?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the coldest game that I'd ever played in, or the coldest weather I'd been in, before my rookie season, is we played at Missouri my freshman year at Tennessee, and it was kind of slush and icy and like a cold rain and overcast and about high 30s. And that was the coldest I'd been. And then the second time, or the coldest I've been since then, was we played Denver earlier on in the season, and I think it was late October. And it was 16 degrees and snowing. So that's the first time I've ever played in a game where there's actually snow falling. But it was really cool. I mean, the one thing I did learn is you get cold really fast if you're out on the field for a long time. So I learned that I had to break up my warm up a little bit, and after a couple punts, go sit on the bench, warm up a little bit, come back out, hit a few more. And yeah, it's tough to stay warm, but luckily we have those benches and some heaters and hand warmers, all that.
So let me ask y'all about this past year. Johnny, you were with the Baltimore Ravens. Y'all went to the playoffs. You got to play with a Heisman Trophy winner and Lamar Jackson. Just talk a little bit about your experience so far with the Baltimore Ravens.
Oh, it's been unbelievable. Just the player you named right there in Lamar Jackson. It's special to be able to suit up with guys like that in your locker room. Coach Harbaugh has really established, such, a great winning tradition there, and such a good culture of, good guys that just, want to succeed and want to win. So it's cool to be a part of an organization like that.
And you hold for Justin Tucker, who may be one of the greatest kickers of all time. Back in my days when we went to training camp, the kickers and punters, they only had their special team practices here and there, and the times have changed. But majority of training camp, them damn guys were off playing golf every day. Do you play any golf with Tucker? Does he play golf?
I haven't played any golf with him. Maybe if the weather gets better in the summertime, we'll hit the links. But yeah, specialists, they like to do their things outside the facility. They get their work in when they have to. And then, you can only kick so much. It's just one of those things. We get our work in when we have to, and then, got to have some time to play after that.
Yeah. And Tommy, you had a special rookie season. You've done something that a lot of guys play for a long time that don't get to the Super Bowl. Just talk a little about playing for the Chiefs. You're playing with the most talented guy I've ever seen at quarterback. What's it like playing with Patrick Mahomes?
It's so cool. And, it's something that I try not to take for granted. I mean, if I really think about it, and I sit back and look at it, it's like I'm basically on an all-star team. The amount of talent that we have at quarterback, running back, receiver, just all across the board, our defense, like having, absolute legends like Tyrann Mathieu. It's so cool being around guys like that. And just, seeing how they prepare and, how they, their mental approach going into games and practice and also just like seeing how they are as people, I feel like a lot of people forget that they're people too, and they get fixated on, they're just athletes, but there's a lot of really fun guys in the locker room, a lot of characters. So it's really fun being around those guys and get to know them.
A couple more things and we'll let you guys go. When you during the off season, like right now, how much are you guys training and do y'all train together?
Yeah, we're both training together right now. When the season ends, it's such a long year. Guys always like to take a little bit of time off and let their bodies kind of recover, get back on track, take a couple of vacations. But we're back training hard now. We start our off-season program next week, starting in the weight room. And we're, basically full force with our kicking and our recovery and our training. And, we're probably going about 6 days a week, making sure we're not doing too much. But, we're amped back up.
Johnny, I think you have some charity events, maybe both of y'all are involved with, and I want to say up here in the Gainesville area. You want to talk about those?
Yeah, I'd love to actually. I started a foundation leaving my senior season in college, benefiting Shands Pediatric Hospital there in Gainesville. I had the opportunity to get to know a lot of them when I was in college and, develop relationships with the staff there and some of the patients. And that's kind of where, my, identity's been rooted ever since I left Gainesville is, there in the swamp. So I want to do as much as I can to give back. But we have a really cool event coming up. The rest of the week, I have a little fundraiser running through the Tommy Townsend Fund, which is an online giving page that goes directly to Shands Hospital. And Top Golf is coming to the swamp, and we're fired up about it. I'm going to be giving away 2 tickets to join me and, a couple Gator greats to, swing the club in the swamp and have a good time. So pretty much anybody that donates from now through the end of the week will have the opportunity to win those 2 tickets and have a one-night stay to hang out in Gainesville with me and some Gator greats.
That's awesome. I got a silly question for both of you. How many punts have y'all had run back for touchdowns in your career?
So for me, luckily, 0, knock on wood.
That's good.
I don't like answering or talking about questions like that. That's that goes back to almost one of those superstitions. You don't want to talk about something like that. You don't want to jinx yourself. But one of my good friends that I grew up with in high school, he actually blocked one of my punts. I think it was my junior. I think it was my senior year actually at Boone, and he blocked one of my punts, and they took it back for a touchdown. But I wasn't too happy about that. But I got an interception that game, so I guess we could say we're even there.
That's awesome. Last thing for you guys. Johnny, I know you didn't play for Coach Mullen, but I know you're close to the program with Tommy playing for Coach Mullen. Just talk a little bit about what it was like playing for Mullen and what he's done for the Gator football program.
Yeah, no, it's been incredible with Coach Mullen, and he's a top-notch guy and he's a top-notch coach, and I was so happy to have him come in and come back, and get Florida back on the on the list of names that like of elite college football teams. And it's just the beginning for him. I mean, as you can see, he's continuing to build and he's continuing to bring in great talent, and they're doing awesome things like building new facilities, and they're really stepping up recruiting. But yeah, Coach Mullen's been awesome. He's a great coach. I mean, he's a very personable coach too. All the players love him. He's a guy that you can go up to and talk to him about anything. So yeah, I love Coach Mullen. I love his family, and I'm happy he's the head coach at the University of Florida.
Good stuff. Do the Chiefs and Ravens play each other this year?
Yeah, they do. They'll be facing off. I'm not sure what week it is, but I think it's sometime within the first third of the season. They'll be facing each other.
So does mom and dad wear each other's jerseys to that game, or how's that going to work?
Yeah, we'll really see where the loyalty lies. Let's see who they root for.
They're going to have to get one of those, jerseys where they split it down the middle and sew it together from each team. So anyway,
Right.
Guys, hey, man, I appreciate y'all taking the time. Two of the best punters from a great family. We appreciate y'all taking time to join the program. Good luck upcoming season, and we'll be following y'all.
Thank you. Appreciate you having us on.
Absolutely. That's Johnny and Tommy Townsend. Join us on the Titan More Hotline. We're going to take our final time out, come back, wrap up this edition.
Hey Gators, this is Coach Steve Spurrier. Pot Up with Matthews in the morning. We'll be right back after this commercial break.
We want to take this moment to thank all our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills. Our gridiron sponsors are Crime Prevention Security Systems, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility. Meldon Law, where you matter most. Peachland Dental, Gator Nation's first choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte. Comfort Temp, comfort is our business, peace of mind is our promise. G-Tech Sport, keep your athletes in the game with G-Tech Sport. Celebration Point Town Center, Center State Bank, Chris Doring Mortgage. Some of our touchdown sponsors are Campus USA Credit Union, Adams Rib Company, Doreen Wiebe Realtor Caldwell Banker, MM Parish, Gator Dominoes, Celebrate Primary Care, Gator Bait Media, Wrap Spot, Okido America, Gators Dockside, Style Cuts, Ironwood Golf Course, TB Financial, Meadowbrook Golf Course, Darshakow Insurance. If you are interested in promoting your business on the show, visit potupwithshane.com and click the advertise button. Again, thank you to all the great businesses that support the show. If you like what we are doing here, make sure to follow us and support the businesses that support us.
Looking for all type of restaurant people, managers, servers, bartenders, hosts, cooks, dishwashers, bussers. If you think you're good in the restaurant business, then give us a call.
Spurrier's Gridiron Grill job fair is open now through May 15th. All you have to do is go to spurriersdraft.com and fill out an application.
We're looking for the good team members, and we're looking for people with a wonderful attitude that can make Spurrier's Gridiron Grill the best we can possibly be. To apply, go to spurriersdraft.com.
Welcome back to the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. At Center State Bank, we put business first. We're the largest community bank in the state of Florida. Understand that small businesses need a community business partners that they can rely on. Center State has 4 convenient Alachua County locations. Center State Bank, member FDIC. I want to thank Brent Beaird, our college football analyst, for joining us on the Titan More Hotline, and also the Townsend Boys, Johnny and Tommy, with the Ravens and the Chiefs, for joining us. Great family, great kids. We wish them a lot of luck in the future in their NFL careers. Today's show's a wrap, folks, brought to you by Wrap Spot. Be safe out there. We'll see you later.
Trying to get the fans fired up. 2nd down and 10. Matthews rolling to his right, in trouble, can't find anyone. Now he throws it for Harrison Houston, who makes the catch. He's in the open field. Harrison to the 20. They're not going to catch him. Touchdown, Gators!